Let me get this straight. We've been sucked into some kind of a TV world?
Are you saying that salesman was...
Mr. Spike, Mephistopheles of the cathode ray. Big brother to the ungrateful dead, and let me tell you, if we ever cross channels again,
Boy, how could you do this?
I didn't know this was part of the deal. I thought I was buying a TV.
This is just great! This is great! You wanted to live in a TV fantasy? Well, you got your wish.
Look on the bright side. At least we're not dead.
No, not yet. Stay alive another 15 hours. Bingo. Free pass back to reality. Of course, the odds of making it are about 1 in a... Oh, my. Cold's no place for a stiff.
Oh, my God.
No, don't panic. I got us into this. I'll get us out.
Oh, you'll get us out. Your leadership skills couldn't get us out of a T-shirt.
A modern-day remake of Matthew Vaughn's Lay a Kick, a Coen Brothers stand up with Timothy Chalamet. A Citizen Kane prequel, a Midnight Cowboy sequel, Alvin and the Chipmunks deserving of the squeak. There's so many new ways to revisit sideways, but a graphic novel is how we choose to update. But we still hold fast, you can't change the past on the Ruined Childhoods podcast.
Kids, don't try this at home. This disclaimer has been around since the early days of television. Although its first usage is unknown, many remember the Three Stooges as the first program to advise its audience that what they see on screen should not be emulated. The phrase found its way into ad campaigns, comics, music, pro wrestling, video games, TV shows, movies, and more, often as a punchline. And in this episode's featured film, such is definitely the case. Greetings, Starfighters. This is Ruined Childhoods. I'm John, joined as always by my brother Dan. And on this episode, we celebrate the 1992 comedy Stay Tuned. Dan, would you rather get sucked into the universe of Stay Tuned, Pleasantville, or Last Action Hero?
Wow, that's a great question. Would I rather get sucked into the universe of Stay Tuned?
None of them are great.
Pleasantville? No. There's all I think of all of them. All right, Stay Tuned, Pleasantville, or Last Action Hero.
Let's just run through them. So Stay Tuned. You're in Hell Television,
right? I have to
in
get
Last
through.
Action Hero. Yeah. In Last Action Hero, Stallone plays the Terminator. So that's already,
okay.
All
right.
A different
no, thank you.
of reality.
No. Sorry, Pleasantville. Okay, there we done. Done. Pleasantville. All right. I don't want to live in a world where Stallone played the Terminator, and I not that I want to live in a world, but like let's remember, Pleasantville does end on a note of optimism, and I also feel like I know being understanding the metaphors and symbolism of Pleasantville and the messages and the themes. I feel like I could navigate that world. It's a bit of an unfair question. Here's a question: am I coming into Pleasantville before the end of that
black
movie?
And white or color?
Yeah, and yeah.
I would. You know what? It would have to be while it's all still black and white.
Do they know I'm Jewish?
No.
I mean, that does not change my answer, for the record.
Well, on our last episode, we were talking about people who were Italian Americans, actors who were Italian actors playing Jewish characters. And so if we're thinking about the inverse of that, certainly, I mean, I'm sure we can go through the cast list and we could see Jewish actors playing non-Jewish characters.
Here's another question for you. Do I go into the world of Pleasantville knowing what I know about the characters? Like, do I know that Jeff Daniels is cool? Like,
well, that's a yes.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Okay.
If you are going into the world, if you're going into the world of Last Action Hero knowing that in reality Stallone does not play the Terminator, then it is only fair that you go into the world of Pleasantville being aware of the world of Pleasantville.
All right, cool. Yeah, I just kind of, be nice. In some ways, though, it would be the true test to say, like, where would I stand in the world? But wow, okay.
And you know what? We're going to put a poll out. Let us know where you would want to enter.
Yeah.
ruinedchildhoodspot@gmail.com. We'll also put a little poll on Spotify or something.
John, what's your choice?
Oh, I mean, it would be I mean, some part of me would want to say Last Action Hero. I was gonna say Pleasantville, but I feel like the world of Last Action Hero might be more exciting.
I mean, it also might be like if
it
you
wouldn't be Stay Tuned though. That's the thing.
Well, no, that's true. I wonder if if you're in the world of Last Action Hero, but you are not like directly connected to Jack Slater, perhaps.
Yeah, but you
it's
never
just
know when you're going to be in the middle of Crossfire.
This, is good point. Good point.
Or if there's going to be like an axe murderer that's walking down the street.
Although Tina Turner is the mayor of LA, it's not a bad. It's not a
also
not the worst place to end up.
And you get like, and similarly to Stay Tuned, you do have cartoon characters that enter your world.
Oh,
so that's fun.
Absolutely, one of the best detectives.
Yeah, you don't get that in Pleasantville.
No. But Jeff Daniels,
sure.
Jeff Daniels, yeah.
All
right,
but the thing is also we're talking about movies here that all have such incredible casts, and Stay Tuned is certainly at the top of the list for me. I mean, John Ritter, Pam Dauber. It's a solid cast.
Well, yeah, and it's really appropriate, and in just
Eugene Levy
looking a little bit, behind the scenes, learning that the studio originally wanted Tracy Ullman and Richard Dreyfuss.
Oh God.
Right. Yeah. And where I think Ullman would have been, also because Tracy Ullman can do anything. Yeah. But also I think that what's great about Ritter and Dauber is that they were primarily known for their roles on television.
Yeah, they were, 70s television stars.
I mean, kind of like I know like technically the golden age of television is the 50s. And I think the second golden age or era is like the early aughts, like the mid aughts. But I would say that like in terms of sitcoms, like specifically situation comedies, the 70s and 80s.
Well,
especially
70s,
the era of Three's Company and Mork and Mindy.
Yeah,
when it was all of those, like all the Norman Lear shows and whatever the Gary Marshall shows.
This is, of course, pre must-see TV, Friends, Seinfeld,
TGIF,
pre-TGIF, which was late 80s was TGIF. Or the dawn of TGIF.
Right. And Ritter and Dauber had successes. So, yeah, Dauber probably best known for Mork and Mindy.
Oh, without question. Yeah.
I mean, there was My Sister Sam later, but that...
Yeah, but right. Mork and Mindy, she's Mindy.
Right, exactly. She's Mindy from Mork and Mindy. And John Ritter best known for Three's Company. And even though they both had other, like Ritter had more. He had that kind of detective comedy Hooperman,
right?
That he did.
And he had about that.
Hearts of Fire, which I think that was the one that Billy Bob Thornton was on, and that's how he and Billy Bob Thornton became friends. And then like John Ritter is in Sling Blade, and Bad Santa is his last, sadly, tragically, his final film appearance.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. John Ritter is an actor who, I grew up absolutely loving Stay Tuned. And I feel like otherwise, because, I wasn't like a Problem Child fan.
Right.
And I was like too young to appreciate Three's Company. And I mean, I certainly appreciate it now. And his work in it is exceptional. And he really, I mean, also he was in 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter.
Oh yeah, that was another big,
which was huge,
big
and then
show for him.
And then lived on as just 8 Simple Rules after he passed. But he was just like always there, and I feel like I didn't appreciate him until after he was gone.
Yeah,
and watching him in Stay Tuned, it was like, oh, but you know what? I always really loved him in Stay Tuned, and he like really delivered. He nailed every single moment in it. He is somebody who just seemed to have no ego
Yeah.
on screen.
Yeah.
And was absolutely comfortable taking all of the pratfalls and looking ridiculous
Mhm.
and doing silly things and just losing himself in his characters, which it's not like he had a lot of range in the types of characters he played, but when he was in those characters, he went for it.
And to your point, another 1992 comedy where he really shows those chops that you're talking about. Noise is Off.
Oh, he was in Noises
recommended.
Off. I never saw it.
Yeah, I mean, talk about an ensemble cast. You've got Carol Burnett, Michael Caine, John Ritter, Julie Haggerty. Off the
Love Julie Haggerty.
top of my head, I can't remember. I want to say Christopher Reeve, but I don't know if I'm right about that.
Huh.
Anyway, yeah, directed by Peter Bogdanovich,
who we talked about on our last episode.
We did, but yeah. So, but yeah, stay tuned. And like to your point about Three's Company, that was really my introduction to John Ritter. I remember like when I first got my own TV and I could just like watch shows. I would watch, like Channel 5 or Channel 11 in New York would have the syndicated reruns late at night. So like 11:30. I remember like if I was babysitting, or like Nick at Night as well would have like Three's Company. And then there was Three's Company 2, or like Jack's, where Jack had his own restaurant, like Jack's Bistro. So
weird.
Yeah. And yeah, so to me, it was just like that, like John Ritter was just that like comfortable, familiar personality.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's an actor who always felt safe and approachable.
Yeah.
And, you can just watch him and lose yourself as you watch him like playing in these roles. Dan, do you remember the first time you saw Stay Tuned?
I sure do, John. Do you?
Because I bet it was the first time I saw it, and I know I remember it very vividly. I want to hear what you remember.
So I remember that we saw it. And so our family used to take trips down to Sea Island, Georgia for a little getaway in August every summer for a few years straight there. And maybe 5 years. And
was it that many years?
Yeah, it actually was not 5 years. It was
maybe
like
three,
maybe. I mean, I can judge it by thinking about which movies I saw on those trips.
Okay.
Like I know we went in 91 because I saw Point Break while we were in Georgia.
Nice.
And I know we went in 92 because we saw Stay Tuned, and it was on the way down there. We would stay at a hotel that was attached to a mall with a movie theater, and
it was amazing.
Heaven on
like
earth.
I don't know if like my memory of it is exaggerated, but I just remember it being like this perfect place.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, because you could just go from the hotel and then you just walk down. And I remember I feel like there was like, even some like purple and black in the carpet. I feel like I remember that.
Wow.
Detail.
See, I remember more of like the colorful lights. Like there were a lot of
neon
like,
lights around the
Lights.
posters.
Exactly. Neon lights.
And I know that
this is 1992. Like I can't believe that. I only remember the colors in the carpet, but that's.
I might be wrong about that, but I remember. No, I remember it clearly. We also saw the following year. We saw Heart and Souls there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I feel like a little less memorable. For some reason, Stay Tuned like really stuck with me that we saw it at that time.
Oh yeah. Well, because it was the ultimate. It was one of those just like perfect summer movies for kids.
Yep.
And it was great because like I'm a bit older. I'm 5.5 years older than you. So to find something that we could all be interested in was and that was okay for all of us, especially around that time, as I was 14.
9.
I was almost 15 at that point.
Yeah.
But loved parody and pop culture. Yeah. So I remember seeing the trailer and just thinking, all right, this looks like something I'm going to like.
Yeah, no, it was kind of a perfect movie, and I feel like when it's brought up now, people either don't know what it is,
Yeah.
or it's like oh yeah, I kind of remember that, and it's like I think about this movie all the time.
Yeah, I definitely think about it more than right. Like I was watching a video of someone talking about it, and he was like, I didn't know if I made this movie up in my mind, if it was a fever dream, and
Well,
but no,
I knew it couldn't have been a fever dream because I owned the soundtrack on cassette.
I know, I remembered you did, and I remember I had a playlist. I think it was like once I started driving, I had a mixtape. It wasn't a freaking playlist.
Yeah.
And I put the opening credits music from Stay Tuned on there. It had a great theme.
It's a great score. Start Me Up, the Salt and Pepper song is really fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just
it's wonderful.
It's just this collection. There's a story, and we'll get into the synopsis in a moment.
Ooh,
but and it's really just like a time capsule of what we as a culture were into in the early 90s.
It was still a time when cable wasn't something that necessarily everybody had, and it certainly was, and like satellite TV was still kind of like a rarity, and so to have 666 channels on your TV seems unfathomable today. I mean,
well, what's a channel?
TV channels are kind of a weird nebulous thing that like kind of exists still, but they exist to serve a different purpose. And it's this movie is most definitely a relic of like that 1992 mentality, and the fact that they lampoon Wayne's World in it, which is also lampooning a very specific moment in television history, is like it's so impactful for me, in those formative years, just remembering the experience of television and having movies like Stay Tuned and Wayne's World as like these.
Well, Wayne's World was fresh. Wayne's World had come out maybe 6 months before Stay Tuned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like incredibly popular.
And in the the parody of it in this movie, and you'll get to a synopsis in a moment, but it's still not just its own show, it's Saturday Night Dead.
Right.
It's not, it's still like they're doing Saturday Night Live.
They find there's like they take advantage of every possible. I want to say there was one thing where I was like, oh, they missed like a hell pun there, but everything. It was when they do like when they're just running through like I guess all the ideas that they didn't really have anything more than a title for, and it's Beverly Hills 90666,
right?
And I was like, they couldn't have said Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills, yeah, that's a good point. But anyway, give us a synopsis.
All right, here we go.
Let's get into this.
Roy and Helen Nabel have hit a snag in their marriage, mostly due to Roy's lack of ambition and his addiction to television. But their partnership is put to the test when they are sucked into a satellite dish from hell, forced to survive demonic television shows in a new program controlled by an arrogant demon called Spike. John Ritter plays Roy, Pam Dauber plays Helen, Jeffrey Jones plays Spike. Yep. And as we also have rounding out the cast, Eugene Levy as Spike's assistant. I don't have his name written down. The character
Eugene Levy's character is Crowley.
Crowley, right? Yeah, I knew it was like kind of a standard like underling name. We've got let me not mess up the kids' names there. We got David Tom as Daryl, Heather McComb as Diane. They're two kids. Some other familiar faces, especially to comedies of this era. Bob Dishy as Murray Seidenbaum. You definitely yeah, worth mentioning Eric King as Pierce. Oh, and
from Dexter.
From Dexter, yeah. And Don Calfa.
Don Calfa,
who I think of course, from Weekend at Bernie's.
Weekend at Bernie's.
The very, very confused hitman there. And,
he's wonderful.
You got some fun little, like Don Pardo, who I just sat there every time you hear him on the game show parody. And I'm like, how many of these, like, how much money did Don Pardo get for just
him.
Like knocking these out? Like just come. I mean, probably at this time he couldn't just do them from home, but just like showing up to the studio for like 10 minutes and doing his thing and just be like, I'm out.
Yeah.
And we got Captain Lou Albano.
Right.
Who,
that's true.
Didn't do as many cameos, but certainly was known to pop up in contexts such as this.
Right. You would certainly know more about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Captain Lou, I feel like, was much more of a pop culture figure. He was definitely in part of the professional wrestling world as, a big manager for a long time. But it feels like at a certain point, he just was like, this is my bread and butter. Like after the Cyndi Lauper, girls just want to have fun.
Yeah. Well, and also we need to mention the participation of Chuck Jones for the animated sequence.
Yeah.
Which, that distinct style that is such a satisfying moment. This movie it has it all. It's really wonderful.
And so that's so I guess kind of to elaborate on the synopsis for those if you haven't seen the movie, they are, imagine a video game and that they are going through this video game and they have to pass levels. So it's each program, each show that they're on is a different level. And there's a different challenge to it. So with the game show, they're being asked questions where they're revealing things, that Roy missed a really nice dinner because he was at a bar watching the World Series.
Yeah.
And then they have to find, either they're thrown through or they have to find a portal to the next level. And Spike's goal is to kill them before they make it to the end.
Yeah. Now, taking it a few steps back, so this program that Spike manages,
network, really more than a program.
Well, the program meaning the system, the
programming
whole idea. Well, not programming, but so Spike's boss is Satan,
right? And
Spike is in charge of this system to get more souls into hell.
Well, and it's
and so he is going out into the world and basically in a Faust-like form,
right?
Getting people to sign over their souls in exchange for this, TV system, and it's people who are, zombies to television that are just kind of like, couch potatoes. And, when we see the Seidenbaums at the beginning, they're Roy's neighbors, and it's this older couple, and they go into their routine. They've got this enormous bowl of popcorn that you see that, and you're just like, damn, that's a big ass bowl of popcorn
for two people during Wheel of Fortune.
And it's this older couple who's, they don't seem very happy, but this is their routine.
Yeah.
And it revolves around sitting around the television.
Yeah.
And so Spike is taking advantage of these people in order to get their souls signed over to hell. And and Roy is a perfect candidate.
Well, and important to note that all of this programming is for the benefit, because Satan's not only Spike's boss, Satan is the viewer. He's like, this is all for his entertainment, that like Satan's bored. Satan is a couch potato and wants good programming. So this is all for Satan's entertainment. And there's basically a deal, because I guess they have worked out some existential politics here between like God and Satan, where the rule is that the people who sign with Spike get 24 hours. And if they can make it, if they can survive for 24 hours, they get to go back.
Yeah, and honestly, the setup is really nice.
Yeah.
And I like seeing the inner politics behind running this platform, and the division between Spike and his employees. Crowley is an employee who he's like a manager, and he gets exiled essentially and forced to kind of be in this world with the contestants. But then there's also Eric King's character. Pierce.
Yeah. The young
So
up and
Pierce,
comer.
right, the one who wants Spike's job, and in a way we're kind of rooting for him just because we don't like Spike.
Right,
but he is still the bad guy.
The dynamic reminded me of in Scrooged, Frank Cross, the Bill Murray, and Glover. Oh shoot, what's John Glover's character in that?
John Glover's character, yeah.
But in this case, right, we are kind of rooting for Pierce, but there's still that satire of network scheming and executives, and if you're if you're old or if you're not with the times, you're toast, you're done.
Yeah. No, it's really fun to see kind of like this corporate structure in hell. and honestly, it's like the control room is really fun. It looks great. It's easy to follow. Like, even as a kid, I was able to understand what was going on.
I'll tell you what I didn't understand as a kid was in the control room, the random Dr. Strangelove.
I think, well, I mean, there are certainly Easter eggs in there for people.
I was like, I really, I'm like, have I really not watched this movie since I saw Dr. Strangelove for the first time? But it's like, oh, right. It was like at some point someone noticed, like, wow, this set really does look like the war room from Dr. Strangelove. And they were like, oh, let's just have Dr. Strangelove in. Or it's not, exactly, but it suggests Dr. Strangelove.
It's a suggestive, background actor.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's really smart. I mean, but that's not like a plot point. It's just like a fun little Easter egg thrown in there.
No.
It
doesn't take away from anything. It's great. And the things that they parody, like people watching it now who weren't around then, like you get some of the things like the silencer of the hams, like people still know Silence of the Lambs. And that one is one of the bigger stretches, I think.
I think that the, one of them that I thought was really funny, but I know that like a modern audience would never get it, is 30 Something to Life.
Right.
Where they parody the show 30 Something, which I've never seen and I've always been curious about, but I all throughout my 30s, I was like, I should watch 30 Something. And then now that I'm not in my 30s, and I haven't been for a few years, but it's like, I guess I missed the boat on watching 30 Something.
But 30 Something was
such a
totally
specific reference.
It was the show that it, like, for kids our age, like your parents watched it because it was about people like them.
Exactly.
Yeah. And right. And even though I'd never watched an episode of 30 Something, I understood the parody of it because it was so present. You knew what it was.
Right.
Same thing. The Max Hell commercial.
Lampooning an ad campaign for cassette tapes.
For cassette tape, that was incredibly popular, and it was
very popular.
A really like iconic ad, so iconic that it pops up in this, and people like it was one of the bigger references that people got. Do you have a favorite sequence?
Ooh, a favorite sequence. So, in terms of the things that the Nables are in, or just like, parodies that it demonstrates?
I would say in terms of what the I guess either.
I think that for the Nables, it might be the animated sequence because that one's got the most meat to it.
Yeah.
Also, it's like, I'll never forget the way that those donuts look.
Oh.
And, Roy's Achilles heel is donuts.
Right.
And these giant animated donuts sitting on the table. as he says, the size of Buicks.
Right.
Oh, like, oh,
Well, and the lines,
that's incredible.
My doctor always told me donuts would be the death of me. The lines, I mean, that's my favorite sequence as well.
Well, what's also great is that the writing, it's written in the way that it's like, this is the way that it would be if they were cartoons, speaking to the camera.
Yeah.
Thinking out loud in ways that they probably wouldn't in reality. That's a lot of fun. The sequence also is just like a great cartoon. Also, but like a close second would have to be Dwayne's Underworld. Credit where credit is due. Those guys who play essentially Wayne and Garth are so good. And looking into their credits, it's like they don't have a ton of film or TV credits, but they were awesome. They were so perfect playing those roles, and it's such a hard thing to do, I think, if you're not Dana Carvey and Mike Myers.
Well, especially as Wayne's World is at its hottest moment.
Absolutely,
in culture. Yeah, I actually thought about it during that sequence. I imagined what the auditions would have been like, that the auditions were probably just like, do your best Wayne and do everyone in the country is going around doing it. Like, show us why you do it better than anybody else. What else? I mean, how else do you do that? You can't, you're not like, give us your spin on the Wayne character. No, you got to kind of do Mike Myers. And I actually remember reading, it might've been in the IMDb trivia, but like that they actually like put an offer out there to Mike Myers and Dana Carvey to come in and do it. But
they were doing Wayne's World 2 at the time, I think.
Yeah. And I don't know that they would have.
Also, I'm sure they weren't interested in doing it, but.
Right. Yeah. It's too present.
And it helps that they're in like, ghoul makeup essentially.
Yeah.
So it's different enough that you're not looking at it and be like, well, that doesn't look exactly like, Garth. But the mannerisms are all there. The way that they speak are all there. And some of the gags are just like a one-to-one gag, Sphincter Boy. I love it when he holds up the sign and he's like, read this, it's the pictures, and it's like and then it's like a battleship, and he's like, warship, and then it's Saturn, and he goes, Saturn?
Right. Yeah.
I worship Saturn.
They did. The writers just must have had a lot of fun just thinking of all of the different like hell. But they
nailed it. They nailed it. That's exactly what would have been on a hell version of Wayne's World. Like they completely nailed it.
Absolutely. 100%.
The set looks perfect. Like everything is dialed in. It's just such a fun movie and, a relic of its time.
Mm-hmm.
But one that I'd be curious to see if, my 8-year-old would enjoy it in a similar way.
I mean,
it wasn't until recently that, we were staying at a hotel and she was watching just like regular terrestrial television, and she was like, how do I pause this? And it's like, oh, no, you don't. And like, you see what you're watching here, that's just what's on because it's what's on.
Right.
And so I feel like a big lesson to learn.
I think I use that kind of language with my 4-year-old. If he wants to watch something that I don't want him watching, I'm like, that's not on right now.
Yeah.
It's not on right now. But it's so right. It's so frustrating. And you see the whole thing of like, it's a time capsule, not just of pop culture, but of behavior and of these, Diane, who's like 14, and her friends.
I wanted to talk about the kids a little bit. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And there's no there's tech. The kid is into, the brother, Daryl, he's.
Oh my God. Yes.
But there's no.
Let's talk about.
Right.
Let's talk about that for a second, because it would probably come as no surprise to you that like Daryl, Daryl's whole like tech setup and the way that he is disassembling things and creating television stations. Do you know how much I would have loved to have been Daryl monkeying around that stuff? I was the kid who was, buying like individual computer parts to like build a computer at, just a little bit older than how old I was during Stay Tuned. So perhaps like I was influenced by him to kind of be tech curious and somebody who was interested in like figuring out how to make things work, especially when it came to like audio visual stuff and putting out a signal, like a video signal. Like I mean, this is a fantasy movie, you know, it's not grounded in reality, but like to do what he's doing, I thought was like so cool and so fascinating. And I was so drawn to that character. And, yeah, who knows what my life would be if this movie had never existed. Oh my God. I'm just realizing that now.
Wow. So like, yes, Stay Tuned really is like that linchpin for you. That's the
It could be. It really could be. Like, you know,
you were headed in a totally different direction, and then we pulled into that hotel and that mall, and we saw that movie. You walked out of that theater changed.
Well, here's the thing, like growing up, and I know that you have a very different experience of growing up than I do. You know, you are the oldest of a 3-brother unit. I am the youngest of a 3-brother unit. And being the youngest, there were a lot of times where I had to figure out like, what sets me apart from these other two who have already established their interests and who they are as individuals? And like, you know, there were a lot of influences that the two of you had on me where it was like, okay, I also love this band or this movie, but I feel like that kind of belongs to Dan or belongs to Scott, past guest on the show. And there were certain things that would come into our lives where I'd be like, ooh, that's mine. Like, I like, that's something where that's just like, it speaks to me more than it speaks to them. And I feel like Stay Tuned was one of those things, maybe to a lesser extent than like a lot of other things, but like there were certain bands that would come around where it's just like, oh, I know that they also like this band, but you know, like the Presidents of the United States of America, that was a band where I was like, oh, they're mine.
Right.
And it was like,
Vanilla Ice.
They hit me. Vanilla Ice. I was trying something with Vanilla Ice. I'd say less Vanilla Ice, more Bobby Brown.
Well, that was pre Stay Tuned. So, no, Bobby. No, that's true. That I will say from my memory,
I was really into Bobby Brown. I was also really into Aerosmith.
Yes.
And you guys weren't so much into Aerosmith.
No, Aerosmith was definitely your
Van
jam.
Halen was one for me.
Definitely yours.
Yeah.
But
so
I would say though but like you have a good point there, like your technology. I think about you with you had an MP3 player before I knew what that was. And I was
Diamond Rio. Yeah.
And I was just
pre
like
iPod.
I was like, I don't even understand how this type of thing works. And give me my cassette tape.
This is just to get like really dorky. So there's before like instant messenger, like AOL stuff, there was IRC, Internet Relay Chat. And so there was an MP3 trading IRC room. It's like a chat room, but it was like very specific. And so I was 12, maybe 13, and I was a moderator on an MP3 trading IRC chat room. And I think I like mentioned it to Scott, and he was like, oh, that's so dumb. And there was and Scott was, the more musically minded one of us. I mean, we all love listening to music, but like he had like a different level of it than the rest of us. And he was like, why would somebody want to listen to a song on a computer? And that to me was like, I'll show him. And I became, really interested in this kind of thing. And like being able to play music on a computer, being able to watch a video on a computer, to be able to look at pictures on a computer, like that was something that to me was really interesting. And so, I did. Yeah, you're right. I got it could hold maybe 12 songs. And the process to like change out the songs was very complicated and time sensitive. Like everything was not slick the way that it is now. So yeah, it was called the Diamond Rio MP3 player. And that's interesting that you remember that, because I thought, and I would walk the dog and listen to my MP3s.
And like I'm carrying around my Discman and
It's
like
skipping all the time.
like a little folder of CDs that I'm carrying
Yeah.
around with me in my backpack at all times.
Oh,
Meanwhile,
and I did that too.
I'm like, I don't understand how you just have this little thing. It's like the size of a pack of gum, and it has music on it, and how is it playing the music, and how does that sound?
Yep.
And
This thing had no.
Does
I
not
don't think it had a
compute.
display on it. I think it was just buttons, and it was more like a iPod Shuffle, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But this was way pre iPod.
Sorcery.
Anyway, sorcery. Back to Stay Tuned.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a movie that like was really influential for me, and I'm only just realizing how much right now. And but talking about Daryl and Diane, they're so well cast because
Yes.
yeah, they're both so specific. They're not, Daryl is a little bit of an archetype of like, nerdy kid.
They're
but
both archetypes, but I think. Sorry, I cut you off there.
Oh no. But I was gonna say, but also it's like, he's got his like cool BMX bike that he's really into. So it's not like he has like a singular interest.
Right, and he's not entirely right. He even says it. He says it took my BMX. Like the thing sucked my BMX. It's my BMX. And he's definitely saying that enough. So right, he's active. You definitely get that. And and then Diane is also kind of that archetype of the boy crazy older sister, and with the giggle and gab with the friends. But what I like about the casting is she feels very authentically like 14, like
right,
like she's not. We don't have like a 20-year-old playing the 14-year-old sister. She feels very genuine. Their interactions feel very genuine. They have moments
older
like
sister, little brother.
I mean, they're at each other's throats, but then when they realize, when Daryl finally convinces Diane that the parents are in the TV, and they're both, then by the end they're sitting there both sharing one chair. Yeah. So it's actually pretty cool, because in a lot of ways, as inside the Hellvision, Roy and Helen are kind of like figuring out their relationship and how do they work together.
Yeah.
The kids are doing the same thing. Daryl and Diane, they're figuring out, all right, well, we're opposite sides here. We don't often get along, but now we have to work together and we have to figure it out. So that just occurred to me. I was like, it's a really cool parallel.
It is a cool parallel. As we were talking about this, and you're mentioning Daryl and Diane, I do wonder if Diane were a real person, would she be the world's youngest Diane? People weren't being named Diane.
No.
Like at that point.
This was post Diane. Although, hold on a second, wait. Because how old is she? No. I was like,
she would have been born probably 78, 79.
Pre-Cheers. So it wouldn't have been, because Roy being a TV addict, it would be really.
Oh, you think that the influence would have been.
Well, it would have been.
She would have been.
That would have been a more valid
then.
theory, but no. I guess. Yeah, she would have been. Yeah.
Now Heather McComb, who played Diane, she was married to James Vanderbeek for quite some time.
Okay, R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. I didn't see too much about David Tom, who plays Daryl. I think that there was like some other. He was on the Young and the Restless.
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually got an Emmy for The Young and the Restless in 2000.
Okay.
So that's kind of cool.
Nice. Daytime Emmy?
He's the twin brother of Nicole Tom, who played Maggie Sheffield on The Nanny.
You know what?
The oldest daughter.
Yeah, I was kind of, I don't want to say I was wondering that, as though I remembered who that was, but I was like, I think that's why I always am worried that I'm going to call Heather McComb Heather Tom, because of Nicole Tom. But
interesting.
Yeah, or maybe I'm totally wrong about that. Sometimes I don't know why things happen, but yes.
Yeah, he was also in Swing Kids.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Swing
So,
Kids,
he
classic.
definitely worked a bunch, but stay tuned. I mean, as somebody who wasn't watching The Young and the Restless, I mean, certainly Stay Tuned was what I would recognize him from the most. But he's so good in this role. He completely nails it.
Yep.
Everybody in it, is right for the role.
Mhm.
Even Jeffrey Jones.
Yeah.
It's definitely easiest to watch movies that he's in when he's a demon.
Yeah.
From hell.
Yeah.
God. Okay.
Yeah.
We won't talk about that anymore.
I
We
mean,
talked about him on so many episodes.
Look,
and-
nobody.
Yeah.
At this point, nobody is mistaking us for fans of him as a person or people who necessarily want to see his face on their TVs. And
Right.
it's kind of unfortunate that he, first of all, was very good in so many of his roles, and that he has roles in so many iconic films. Both iconic just for us, like Stay Tuned, but also like
Transylvania 65000.
and Transylvania 65000. Yeah.
Ed Wood.
Yeah, I forgot about that. But like, yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, but he's right for this role. And at that time in the early 90s, like, I doubt there were other choices for this role. Maybe there were other choices, but I mean,
it seems like the obvious choice. And
Yeah.
they were right to do it because he works as Spike. It makes perfect sense.
and of course he would go on to work for the devil again in The Devil's Advocate.
Right?
Unknowingly.
And then in real life as just being a demon.
Yeah, yes, yes, of course. Yes.
The Devil's Advocate, man. That movie's fun.
That movie's bonkers. But a lot of fun. But
Yeah, that was one of the first novelizations I bought.
yeah, oh, that's right, John's novelization. Yeah, so hey, listen, if you didn't know, John collects novelizations.
Yeah.
They have to be novelizations. They can't be the book version of with the movie cover.
No,
or
it's a
something.
novel based on the screenplay by.
So if you see Stay Tuned out there,
Yeah.
like,
Was there a Stay
We'll
Tuned
pay you back.
novelization? Yeah.
was there a Stay Tuned
Sure.
novelization? I mean, there had to have been.
I'm going to look that up.
You're going to
real
look
quick.
this up. We need to know. So yeah, we're looking for that Stay Tuned novelization. I mean, who knows? This is a movie that, like we said, most people don't remember it, but I remember it having a significant ad campaign. It came out in, I want to say it was in August in '92, because I mean that's when we saw it.
Yeah, I mean that sounds right to me.
Yeah, August 14th,
I don't think that
1992. Yeah.
there are plenty of books called Stay Tuned, but I don't think that any of them are a novelization of the movie. Who knows? It could be out there.
Well,
But this, it's really satisfying. The, just talking about the legacy of the movie. A few years ago, there was a report that Josh Gad and Andrew Rannells were doing a remake of it.
mhm.
I don't know if that's
It was going to be a
You know-
TV thing. I think the last news on that was from last summer. There hasn't
so
really
who
been
knows?
anything on that since.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like Andrew Rannells. I don't love Josh Gad. But I like the idea of kind of preserving this movie and continuing its legacy a little bit. But Dan, what would you do given the opportunity?
Well, given the
If you were a
opportunity.
Gad or Rannells?
Well, I was thinking about how do you do this? How do you move this into 2026? And I think that there are ways where you could have this as a internet. You could, I mean, social media. Because what would it be now? And it's like influencers, podcasts,
Yeah.
you'd go through and you're on you're on Joe Rogan or what. I don't have a good hell parody for it, so we'll just say Joe Rogan.
It just is Joe Rogan.
Yeah, we'll just say Joe Rogan. Yeah, or you're going through, like, all of a sudden you're in like whatever famous memes, you're in famous
Yeah.
TikToks. I mean, I'm not being somebody who follows that much. I don't have a lot of specifics, but just thinking of how you would transform it, how you would bring it into 2026, because you're not going to remake something like this the way that they made it.
Right.
But
No.
I think you could still look, the Faust story continues to be great fodder for different adaptations and versions. So I think it could work. You wouldn't even necessarily call it Stay Tuned. I think you could just do a different, call it clickbait.
Yeah.
And
Clickbait, a Stay Tuned story. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that to me seems the most logical way to do it. I think it could be funny. It's just the problem is things are so fleeting in popular culture. It's really hard to know what's going to stick and what's really a flash in the pan. I think Stay Tuned actually did a pretty good job of picking things that were consistent. Classic films, animation, pro wrestling.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Just before we get really off of this, one thing that I don't think really worked is the Three's Company reference.
Oh, really?
Because there's no hell pun. It just is Three's Company.
Well, I think so
it's just like he's in hell. He's repeating.
Yes,
but it's
what I got from that.
It's like it's too meta. It's I don't know. It just needs to be tweaked a little bit, I think.
I have to say I liked it. Maybe it's just because, like I said, I watched a lot of Three's Company.
Sure.
And I thought the idea of John Ritter ending back there, and it's really just, it's to get the pop, and it's that thrill and that excitement of seeing Joyce DeWitt, Suzanne Summers, and John Ritter on screen on that set.
But that wasn't actually them, though, right?
Yeah. No, it was.
I thought those were doubles.
No, I'm almost positive it was them. You can fact check me on that, but I am almost positive that they got Joyce DeWitt and Suzanne Summers. He's checking. I'm 99% on this.
Dan, it's Rosalind Royce and June Nagy.
Oh, okay. All right. So, all right. Well, damn.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry to ruin that one for you.
I have to say, I feel like I enjoy it a little less now.
Ooh, interesting.
I kind of want to go back to a world where I thought that was Joyce DeWitt and Suzanne Summers.
I'm so sorry.
I'm going to try to forget what we just talked about.
But you can take your remote, Spike's remote,
that's
and
true.
You can hit the rewind button, the back 10 seconds button.
Yeah. Anyway,
so you're thinking something about just kind of the meme culture, the
I thought about
constant content.
I mean, I thought about the just the idea that so few people know about this movie, but I feel like reissuing it, that's not gonna really do the trick. It feels like this movie is kind of out there because also if you're not of our generation and you don't have a clear memory of what pop culture was in 1992, I don't know what you're gonna really get out of this movie. Like you said, you're gonna show it to if you show it to your daughter, and I'm sure there's some there's some slapstick. There's enough to keep a kid entertained. But I actually feel like you get more out of taking the idea and moving it. Although I feel like social media addiction is a little less funny.
Well, yeah, I mean, because it's there for everybody. It's more accessible than sitting in front of a television.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually thinking something along similar lines because, of course, nowadays television is very different, and the way that people consume entertainment, and I say that in quotes, is very different. And I was thinking that maybe it's a movie or a series that takes place in our modern era, but it is somebody or some people who come to realize that we are already existing in kind of the takeover of demons, and it's basically like they've made their deal with the billionaires to create a system to control everybody and to suck them in and make them become, void of creativity and originality.
It sounds like They Live.
It's very much like They Live, and then it's up to these people to kind of crawl their way out of the darkness of what we're all experiencing and take down kind of the powers that be that are controlling all of this. Because what is the point of what everybody's putting out there on the internet? It is to monetize content. It is to have a platform big enough so that you can then have a paid advertisement on your channel, so that you can say, this ad is this post is sponsored by
Ruined
Charmin
Childhoods is
toilet
sponsored
paper.
by, I don't know, somebody.
Nobody owns us.
No.
It would be nice if somebody gave us money to do this, but they don't.
Happy to sell out.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is like everybody is just trying to monetize everything and to have a paid sponsorship, to the point that like a lot of the sponsorships might not align with the person's personal beliefs, and it's it feels so soulless.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of where I was thinking about what this is, where it's just like, somebody who's really trying, really figures out, maybe there's like a glitch in the algorithm and they kind of see into the back end of things, and it's like, oh no, like maybe it's Daryl in the present day and he's in there in the, looking at code and discovers something.
He's like, they figured it out. They actually figured out how to put us all in there, and now we're all trying to actually get out.
Maybe that's Pierce's plan. Maybe we are living in Pierce's plan. The Eric King character.
Could bring him back. That would be, that could. There are definitely some characters that you could bring back and put into these ideas.
Yeah, Crowley.
I was gonna say
it was just a husk of a stump.
Would Diane be an influencer, or do you think she's too old? She'd be too old to be an influencer.
Oh well, she could be a mommy blogger.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Oh, I could totally see her doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. She's 50 at this point. I guess maybe she's past the point of being like, well, I guess she could have teenage kids.
Would her account name be like the youngest Diane?
The youngest Diane. Yes. Absolutely, I love
point.
It. The youngest Diane.
I can't think of another Diane, but okay.
Awesome. Well,
a younger Diane,
for everybody out there who's watching this or listening to it, send us your ideas of how you would bring back Stay Tuned. If you're Gad or Rannells, let us know what the plans are. ruinchildhoodspod@gmail.com. You can go to ruinchildhoodspod.com for some fun stuff. And, mentioned this on the last episode, but this is the end of our season where we're covering movies that are full sentence titles. And Stay Tuned just felt like such an appropriate one to end the season on. We're doing a little bit of a hiatus. I'm about to start a new full-time job.
Yeah.
And part of it is producing a podcast, so I'm excited about that. And we're just kind of seeing how our schedules are impacted. And so until then, Dan, I guess as you are on your way to go save the Nables, I wish you a good journey.
Good journey, and stay tuned.
Stay tuned.